onto it, and Mbeumo equalises for Manchester United. Dorgu, Fernandes, Dorgu again. Patrick Dorgu! Oh, he has hit a belter! You're on the turn. Oh, what a hit! What a sensational hit from Cunha!
Hello and welcome to Fergie's Gum. My name's Nathan Irvine and I'm joined by Mr. Ahmad Dohair, who is now match fit, ready for action again after a few weeks on the sidelines. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm doing great about it. Honestly, these past few weeks have been insane, honestly.
Well, we're obviously going to be talking about Arsenal 2, Manchester United 3. What a victory. I think you was the only person out of all of us, of the Fergie's Gum alumni, that fancied us getting all 3 points, mate. And you was right again. I think you fancied us getting all 3 points against City as well. So, yeah, the positivity is radiating from you, which is always a good thing. Mr. Paul Cropper, I should say, was supposed to be on the show today, but he has man flu. And he's been up since 4 o'clock in the morning, and he might jump on. We don't know yet, but he's probably not going to be here. Anyway, bigger things to talk about, including that performance at the Emirates. First things first, I fell asleep after Dorgu's goal because I was absolutely knackered from a day of cycling. What did you think of the overall performance, mate?
It was really good. It wasn't one of those like snatch and grabs, you know. We played how we should, like how a team should play when they go to the Emirates, especially when they're top of the league. And yeah, I think that's as good as anyone has played there all season. And yeah, we deserved the win. We deserved the win easily. Like their goals were so jammy. Honestly, like when their second goal went in, I was so pissed because they did not deserve it at all, and we do not deserve not to take 3 points. We played comfortable. We were confident on the ball, dangerous, creating chances. I don't know what got into the players on the team. I mean, Michael Carrick and the staff came in, but it's like a completely different team, completely different set of players. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, it does seem like night and day between those teams, which is very strange. But you can probably tell, and we'll talk about him later on, but Ruben Amorim must have been such a downer on this squad, or at least didn't instill them with the confidence to go out there and put performances together like this against City, against Arsenal. You know, played the top 2 in the league and outclassed them in both games. As you say, they relied on set pieces to score. I think on goal is their 3rd highest scorer this season, Arsenal's. So, you know, they had to rely on Martinez's goal. When that went in, we'd sustained a little bit of pressure up until that point for like the first 25 minutes. And I was like, oh, okay, this is why they're top of the league. They're kind of strangling United and keeping them in their own half. But after that, after the goal, it was only United that looked like they wanted to go and win it, from open players, certainly. It looked like Arsenal just wanted to go to the deck every time they could near the goal to try and get a free kick, to try and get a corner, whatever it was, so that Set Piece FC could try and swing one in again. There's no other fan base that I like upsetting than the Arsenal one, though. It was fantastic. I might have fallen asleep after Dorgu's goal, but I woke up, nice big pot of coffee, tuning into AFTV, and all the rest of the lads. That sickly lad with the glasses who always smokes on camera. He absolutely hates Man United. So seeing him being upset, I can't remember his name. You probably can.
The Gunner, yeah.
That's the one. That's the one. Just, you know, seeing him a bit upset by those goals was, well, it was delightful. A delicious breakfast was had. What do you think has changed? I know you just touched on it then. Apart from Amorim and apart from just the self-belief, do you think that anything else has changed in this Manchester United team? Like, what do you think's been the key to it? The 4 at the back, maybe?
I wouldn't necessarily put it down to 4 at the back, because we saw like these players were there also when Ten Hag was there, and we used to play 4 at the back, and you always felt there like these huge gaps, especially in midfield. Uh, it's maybe it's mostly tactics. I would say it's mostly tactics. I know everyone is gonna put it down to, like he brought the feel good factor back, the confidence back, but I think it's tactics because it's. I think Steve Holland is playing a huge role in it. I think Steve Holland is playing. We've seen his work all over his career that he is just a specialist in tactics. And against City and against Arsenal, we saw that they were actually doing what I mean, like they were limiting both teams to nothing. They were limiting both teams to nothing, and that's not something easy to do. So yeah, playing four at the back, playing five at the back. I don't think that's the issue. And plus, of course, when you've been an assistant like and under Amorim for so long, and when you get like some fresh energy, fresh ideas, it just changes everything. And these players are good players. We always we used to maybe sometimes disagree about it, but we have good players, especially up front. We like Mbeumo, Cunha, Sesko, Dorgu. I don't know how like what happened. I mean, we're gonna talk about him in a minute, but honestly, like these things, everything just came into place. Um, I'm not gonna get carried away because even at our worst, we always used to perform against bigger clubs. Because when the pressure is not on us, then yeah, like we seem to play well. So I'm gonna wait until I see us again, for example, next week against Fulham. I think those games are gonna show me more. But for now, yeah, like it's just insane what's happening.
I mean, we'll obviously come on to the goal scorers in a second, and especially one very special goal that happened. All three of the goals were fantastic, to be fair. But one of the things that I've looked at, and many people have looked at, is the impact of Kobbie Mainoo in central midfield. The stat that was doing the round after the game against Arsenal was that he's covered the most ground in both games out of all sets of players against Manchester City and against Arsenal. So to say that he doesn't have the legs, you could argue there's lots of different ways of looking at that statistic. Was he out of possessions or was having to chase back? Was he trying to get up and down the pitch because he couldn't get hold of the ball? That doesn't matter when it's simply the running stats and that he can have that engine to get up and down and he's doing the dirty work. It just puts that assumption that he can't do it next to Casemiro in the spotlight, and you're looking at it and you're going, this doesn't quite add up. So it feels like it was something that was far more personal to not play Kobbie Mainoo against Casemiro, because the two of them have played a pivot well, haven't they?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's something fishy. I think it's definitely not just down to the running stats and whatever. I think there were issues between Amr and Kobbie. I think I read somewhere that we had agreed a new contract with Kobbie before Ruben Amorim came in, and then when he came in, he just put a hold on it. So I'm sure that started some issues. I think that broke a lot of the trust. Kobbie's not gonna. He never seemed to be, like invested in Ruben Amorim. He didn't want. I don't know. Like it just felt that there's something bigger. Maybe also like it's different playing two in the like five at the back, playing two in midfield and playing the three like Bruno, Casemiro, and Kobbie. They're always close together. But I think when under Amorim, it would have been Kobbie and maybe Casemiro way behind him, and then he just has to go up and down. So I think it's not about running stats as much as it's about actually positioning. So I think Kobbie, we always used to say it that if it came down to a choice between Kobbie and Ruben Amorim, and one of them has to leave, it would have been honestly gutting if it was Kobbie to be the one that left, because like the guy is an insane talent. We've seen it. Like he's an academy. I know like people some like recently, especially they're like trying to dismiss the idea of uh, people should stop hanging on to academy players and that like notion of like just do what's best for the team. But no, these things matter, especially at United. So yeah, I'm glad like he's getting back into his form. I can see him getting into the World Cup squad now as well. He's one of those players that you don't find everywhere, and his talent and his skill set is something very unique.
I think you're absolutely right. And if you look at some of the goals and the connections, especially Mainu set up Cunha for the winning goal eventually. When you look at those tight triangles that you just spoke about with Casemiro, with Bruno, with Kobe, it's those tight spaces that we haven't seen before for the last 14 months or with Ruben Amorim in charge. We haven't been doing those types of plays. Like that famous commentary, the Arabic commentary, Cunha, Bruno, like that is like doing what they call it, it's not the rondo, is it? What is it? Is it a rondo? And it is a rondo. When they do the rondo, like we haven't seen that for a long time. And then we're seeing it in the past couple of games. We're seeing it all the time. And that's what led to Cunha's goal. The little rondo and then round the corner, even the close control for Dorgu's goal, which we'll talk about in a second, even that close control from Bruno for that goal, it's touch and go, touch and go, touch and go. And we haven't seen that for 14 months. And I think Kobe Mainu is massively part of that. Pass it into him. They know they're going to get it back off him. They know he can play it around the corner. They know he's composed. That's exactly what you want. You don't want someone that's having to chase all over the pitch like a little terrier. You want someone that's going to control the ball in the first place. Let's talk about the goals. All three of them were fantastic. Mbeumo taking it on his weaker foot, having sat down David Raya. Cunha's like in acres of space could have planted like crops in there for his goal, but bent it around Gabriel and into the far corner. Superb goal. But come on, Paddy Dorgu, that's got to be a goal of the season contender, surely.
Yeah, Ballon d'Or. Yeah, he's
Or Dorgie best, as I like
best,
as well.
Yeah. He's got a rocket of a left foot. Honestly. Like even after he scored that goal, there was a chance after it. Yeah, like honestly, like, just I don't know. Were we misusing him when he was playing left wing back, or he's always been a left wing back. That's even at Lecce, he's always been. He plays that role. Maybe he is better going forward than defending, but he has the attributes also to be like a good defender. But I'm gonna be honest. Like I was never convinced by him. I always felt like on the ball, he's just I don't know. He just panics when he gets the ball at his feet, especially like and he always used to make the wrong decision. But maybe that's part of being like a younger player and growing up and gaining the experience. But I never saw like this patch of form coming. The goal against Newcastle as well, the goal against City, and even the way he's playing. Like that goal, I went crazy on that one turn, honestly, because we don't see those goals often these days. Like especially with all the clubs, especially like from the higher ups, they always emphasize on XG. Like just try and create the clearest cut chance, and we don't see shots out the box as often now. So yeah, I don't know. Like maybe people are calling him, like Gareth Bale as well. And he got injured like Gareth Bale. So I don't know. He's so good.
Well, I mean, not to blow my own trumpet, but I was heavily invested in Patrick Dorgu from the start.
Yeah, you will.
And I tried not to get drawn into this idea that he wasn't going to be good enough, that he was too raw, that he just didn't know what he was doing. And even Ruben Amorim came out and said, he's too anxious on the ball, which never helps. I say it behind the scenes, but you don't have to say it to the press, which I just thought again was ridiculous. But I did wobble a little bit of my support for Dorgu, especially during the against Wolves and against Burnley. Like I just didn't think he was doing what was necessary. But I always kind of knew that there was a player there, and it was largely to do with the fact that the positions that he gets into. He always. I've maintained this. I said if he can fix his final decision making, like what he does when he's in the final third, then we'll be fine. It's the same with Dalot on the other side as well. I know, like we've slagged Dalot off on this podcast many a time. He's played well in the last couple of games. Actually, he's done well, but he's one of those players that if he can do what Dorgu's doing and improve what he's like in that final third, what are you going to do now? Decision making, do something, cross it well, shoot on target. That's all we're asking. If he can do that, then he'll be fine on the other side. But I've always seen it in Dorgu. He's so athletic as well. Like he's really strong, really fast. So yeah, I think that could be goal of the season. One thing I did want to ask you about that. So you weren't even born when this happened. I don't think anyway, or you might have been just about. Has there been a goal that is more synonymous with a footballer than the crossbarring in is with Tony Yeboah?
Tony Yeboah.
It's like as soon as it went in,
Yeah.
it's like, oh my god, he scored a Yeboah.
Exactly. Yeah. I wasn't like I wasn't when I was watching the games live, but I always used to see goals for Yeboah because they are iconic, and
Yeah.
like a celebration as well with the sleeves, long sleeve,
Yeah.
and going a little bit. No, he's iconic.
But I'm trying to think of another goal that is described in that way. There's obviously the Panenka, the penalty after the famous footballer. Can't even remember where he's from. And then the Yeboah, obviously barring in. The only the closest one that I could think of was like a Robin. You know, where you cut in from the right and score on the left. But even then, like that's still not. It's still not a thing.
Maybe like a Maradona when you're like, just to go through everyone and just go. Maybe. There isn't something
that becomes a Messi. That becomes a Messi as well, though, doesn't it?
I don't know. Yeah, there's nothing like. I think Yeboah is like it has its own thing.
Yeah. Oh, I love that goal. He scored two of them, by the way, in quick succession. One against Wimbledon and one against Liverpool, I think it was. And I always tried to recreate them when I was a kid. So yeah, the Yeboah. I'm happy to see Paddy Dorgu scoring a Yeboah. Last thing that I will say, there's a couple of things I will say actually. Harry Maguire, got to give a shout out to him. What a colossal performance that was. Unbeaten in aerial duels, unbeaten in ground duels, ragdolled Gabriel, made him really angry to the point where, I don't know if you saw it, Gabriel wouldn't shake hands with him at the end of the game.
This guy, honestly, like he's so petty. He's so petty. Like he does this every single game to every single player, and then when he gets it, he can't take it. I don't know, like just he's a sore loser. I think most of the Arsenal players are, honestly. And yeah, I was just happy. Maguire was. He's also like when you were asking me what changed, I think that's a big part of what changed.
Yeah.
The past two games because Maguire coming in, he changed a lot. You need someone like that. You need like he eliminates all the aerial risk. He gives you aerial threats and the other box leadership.
Yeah.
He's good on the ball. He's so underrated on the ball, honestly, Maguire. And yeah, and like just communicating. I think communicating is also a big part of it. So I think I sent like after the City game, I'm like Casemiro and Maguire have to get new contracts at least for a year, even if it's on reduced terms, because you need those players. And if they're not starting every game, you need them to be in and around the dressing room. And, they come in for the occasional game. But Maguire right now, again, I'm going to say it, I think he should go to the World Cup. He deserves it. I don't think there's a better English defender out there, honestly.
It's a big shout, massive shout, but I wouldn't disagree with it. And then the final question, Paul Scholes and Roy Keane are still not having it, but is Michael Carrick in contention for this full-time job now?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. But like, again, I'm not going to get carried away. Again, I need to see it against Fulham, against whatever, West Ham, against Spurs. I need to see how the team sets up and if they can break down those slow blocks, because those are the teams that we struggled against, not City and maybe Arsenal. Yeah, we do struggle, but it's going to show me more now, like in the next few weeks.
If he goes unbeaten from now until the end of the season, he's 14 games, right? Is it 14, 13 games?
15.
I think it's difficult. I think it becomes very difficult to not give him the job. Like, obviously, he's coming in to try and get the ship in the right direction again, and he's fully aware of that. Carrick's not stupid. But I think it's, if he does, as you say, if he gets a result against Fulham, if he gets a result against the teams that we've struggled with in the past, and not just these big sides, I think Ineos have got to consider him for it. They have to.
It's a risk either way, because like if Ineos choose, if for example he went on a run and like it was an insane ending to the season, it's a risk to keep him, because then you're gonna risk doing what happened with Oli. Although I don't like that being a factor, like you see what happened with Oli, you can do that again with Carrick. They're two different people, they're two different managers, two different teams, two different set of players, a different like management as well. Like Ineos is different than what we had before. So that's not really a factor for me, but the risk of doing that, but then again, the risk of letting him go and getting someone else in, it can, like, and if it went sourly, then yeah, you're gonna say like, what have we done? Like you let someone like Carrick go. I'm sure as soon as he leaves United, he's gonna get a job somewhere else. So it's gonna be interesting, but it's not an easy decision, honestly.
It's not an easy decision. And speaking of easy decisions or tough decisions, we're about to have, after this break, an amnesty on Amorim. I think it's time to finally address the elephant in the room and get it all off our chests and then never speak of it again. But we'll be back right after this break.
After this disaster season, I want to tell you the good days are coming.
Ruben Amorim there, talking about Michael Carrick coming into the club and taking over from him. Surely he predicted it. It must be Mystic Ruben. Who knows? I think basically the reason why I just played that is because after these last two games, it's become very obvious that Manchester United players weren't as bad as we thought they were. I think we've had conversations on this podcast before, and we touched on it in the last segment about whether the players are good enough. And, for the longest time, we thought they're not. We questioned the likes of Bruno, we questioned Kobbie Mainoo to a certain extent, questioned the substitutes the new signings that have come in, whether they're good enough. As we talked about before, Dorgu, is Senna Lammens the right goalkeeper? Should we have got someone that's bigger? Obviously, Ruben Amorim wanted Emi Martinez. But I think we've seen in these last two games, and like just remove all like sentiment from the fact of the players are now performing because they're happier, or they're performing because they down tools on Ruben Amorim. That's probably the better way of looking at it. Let's just remove that from the equation right now. But do you think that Ruben Amorim just gaslit the entire fan base for the last 14 months?
To a certain extent, maybe, yes. But I don't... People seem to forget also, like before Amorim came in, how the team was, and we weren't doing well. But yeah, like I think there's a lot of times where he piled pressure onto himself for no reason, onto the players for no reason, and he just made everything seem like doom and gloom. And that just, like it's filtered out to everyone, to the players, to the fans, and the stadium as well. So people always used to say it's the players, it's the players, it's the players. But yeah, like we have a new, like around 8-9 starting players that are just came into the club. Like if you go back to last season and this season, there are like 8-9 players. So you can't keep on just saying those are the same players that down tools on the previous managers. No, they're not. They're different managers. They're different players. So I think Amorim was struggling with the media, and like people, especially like the ex-United players, and how he thought they were influencing the like Jason Wilcox and these people, and they kept on trying to just proving to people that his ideas are the ones that are eventually going to work, even though it was obvious that they weren't working. So I think the stubbornness also was part of why everything was going so bad. But yeah, honestly, like now when you see what's happening with Carrick and how the team is performing, again, it's just 2 games, so we shouldn't get carried away. But then I start thinking like, yeah, if we did make the change sooner, where would we have been? Like it could have been much different. And
I think that's fair. I think that is fair to say, and it's what I can. Obviously, there's lots of questions that I've got about his reign. The big thing for me was that like he at every opportunity he kept saying he needs more players. He needs like transfer windows, and we bought into that. You know, we were saying that, yep, definitely. You know, we can't do it all in one window. He definitely needs reinforcements, and let's be honest, I completely agree with him on that, right? Because he was brought in with a system, with a formation, and he would have said to them, look, these players aren't good enough to play this type of football that I need to play. So we need to do it. If we're going to go my way with my philosophy, and fair play to him, he stuck to his guns, whether it was good or bad, he stuck to his guns. This is how I want to play football. It didn't work out, but they also didn't get him what he needed. He needed wing backs. He needed like a central midfield pivot. There was the last minute bid for Carlos Baleba to be that person that was going to chase everything down. Didn't get accepted. They wanted way more. And you know, he basically lost out on a lot of players that he wanted. He didn't want Benjamin Sesko, for example. He wanted Ollie Watkins. He didn't want Senna Lamans. He wanted Emi Martinez. And both of those players are instrumental in the... Are Aston Villa in second now or third? Second or third? You know, they're doing well. So I can see it from his point of view. But, and this is the first big thing for me is like, I was trying to think, do I feel sorry for him? I think the answer is no. I think he kind of made his own bed. And if he couldn't adapt to the situation, then yes, it was a bad marriage of convenience between the two of them. And I think Manchester United, if I'm being brutally honest, should have sacked him sooner. And I think they could have sacked him after the Grimsby game immediately, and not one fan would have thought, oh, that's harsh.
honestly, when you think back to the results and the performances that we've been having under him for the past, whatever it was, like 18 months, then yeah, it's insane. It's like we were living in a simulation because that wasn't normal. Like that was not. We finished 15th, and we could have easily finished 17th if we'd lost that last game against Villa last season, and we lost the final to Spurs. And yeah, like honestly, the results that we were having, it's just I don't know how we survived this long, but I do feel sorry for him a little bit because he did take heat for a lot of things that had to be done at the club, and he was, you know, the one that was he was the one that literally he was the one at the forefront of it. He did, you know, players that had to leave. He was
Yeah.
he was the one that forced them out technically.
But even with that, we like obviously, yeah, we got rid of Marcus Rashford, went off to Barcelona. That was going to happen anyway. He told Rasmus Højlund that he didn't have a future at the club, which again, in hindsight, could that have been a bit harsh? Like, could they have made use of him? Could Joshua Zirkzee have been the player that they got rid of instead? Like, I don't know who suits his system. But when you talk about the people that he needed to clear out, one thing that always comes to my mind is that leak that went out about him telling Garnacho to, you better find a good agent, or you better hope your agent is good this summer because you're never playing for this club again. That cost Man United millions. That cost them a bidding war on a prized asset. I mean, he's doing dreadful with Chelsea, but think about it. You reveal that type of stuff, that's going to cost you millions on a player.
Maybe it would maybe it did cost a little bit, but I think a club or all the clubs that did their due diligence and they wanted to bid for Garnacho, they wouldn't have bid much more than what we got for him, because we can see the talent. Like he's a 45 million pound player maximum. He's not a good player, honestly. So I don't really think that it really mattered. And maybe it just it set a certain standard at United when he did that. You know, like players, they were when they see a manager doing that to a player, especially a young player, they're always on the tip of their toes. So he did instill some of those things at the club, and yeah, like Hoyland had to leave, Garnacho had to leave, Rashford had to leave, Sancho had to leave. A lot of players that left had to leave, and I don't think maybe another manager would have tried to make it work with them, and they might have still been at the club, and we would have still been at the same spot. But just the results were never good for Amnon. Like what he did at the club in general was okay, but the results was the eventually what it comes down to, because he 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 did, I don't know, like for example, and I just think back to that run that we had and the way
Mm.
that we kept on dropping points. That it's just insane. Like, and like you said, he could have been sacked after Grimsby. He could have been sacked after Spurs at the final. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, he overstayed his time. That's what I'd say.
Yeah, I think Ineos basically took way too long in pulling the trigger on that because they couldn't afford to look like idiots. I mean, in the end, they did because he was their hire. He was the person that they wanted to take Manchester United forward. They bought into his ideals. They bought into his tactics. They bought into everything about the man. They even accepted the fact that he needed to clear some people out. Almost got rid of Kobe Mainu. There's rumours that he had a training ground bust up with him. I mean, Kobe Mainoo's on 25 grand a week basic, right? Which is, I'm not going to be losing any sleep over a footballer and their weekly salary. But he's on 25 grand a week. Terrell Malacia is on 47, right? And he hasn't played for United in such a long time, or he's played for like 10 seconds. When these things are happening, that kind of tells you what's going on with the person. And they even let him come in without any sort of connection to Manchester United as well, which I think was ultimately his undoing, because he didn't have a group of people, or at least one person on his staff, like a Mike Phelan, like a Rennie Mullenstein, like just someone that had a connection with the club to go, mate, I think this is how we should do it on this one. An old head that just gives him an alternative view. He had young lads, some of them younger than him. I think all of them were younger than him, the assistant managers and coaches. He had all of those. They were going to be yes men. Manchester United's huge. And I think in hindsight, that might have been ultimately what cost him. He didn't have someone to protect him from those things or to guide him in the right direction. But at the same time, and again, if rumours are to be believed, he orchestrated his dismissal. He walked out of Jason Wilcox's office, apparently, when he said, we need to change to 4 at the back, and said, right, I'm getting on to my agent. I don't want to be here anymore. That was reported in The Athletic. Is it true? I don't know. But the petulance of that man, I can't look back on it in any other way than that was an absolute disastrous period of time. 14 months absolutely wasted from the hierarchy and the coach himself.
I mean, I understand where it's also incompetence from the board, because like you said, they hire someone who they know plays a certain system. They don't get him the players for it, and then they ask him to change the system. So I see where he would be frustrated in that regard, but it was just it was a mess all around. It had not, like, at a club like United, again, like we've heard this phrase United DNA for the past, I don't know, 3-4 weeks, every single day. And some people were arguing that, what is United DNA? Like, there's no such thing. Like, especially these days, clubs should just, do what's best for the club now, not like lean back on history. But no, history is everything. That's what some people don't realize. History is everything. Like, it is what got you to this spot now. So you have to always lean back on it. You have to always maintain whatever standards you had, or like, United DNA is something. There is United DNA. It's about youth, playing youth. That's number one, not number one, but like one of the top things. You have to play entertaining football. You have to take risks. You have to always be on the front foot, like, and just try, and even if you want to concede 3, you have to score 4. You have to entertain the fans. And just that's what United is: pace, power. Like, uh, that's what's always been about. And when you get someone, when a board comes in, like someone like Jason Wilcox or Omar Barada or whatever, who I would say okay, maybe they know about United, but they don't know the insides of United. They were never in United. Jason Wilcox is from, I think he was a player at Blackburn, and then he was at City, Southampton. So he has nothing to do with United. And you bring them, and you give them the control to do whatever they want. That's the big issue. That's the big issue, because if it was someone that actually knows what United does, they would have never accepted what Amorim stands for. Like a manager that plays 5 at the back, like recycle the ball, try and create, I don't know, like whatever the automations up front, and then that's how you're gonna score. No, that's not how it works. You have to, at United, you just have to outrun the opponent. You have to outplay the opponent. You have to be stronger. You have to be wanted more. All the teams that we had that were successful, the players were 10 times better than the opposition players, but they also outrun the opposition players every single game. So, and Amram, maybe he didn't understand that, or he thought he did, but he never applied it on the team. And then when you get someone like Michael Carrick, who's been there, who's been in those teams that under Sir Alex especially, maybe it is just about the simple things. Just keep it simple. I think with Carrick as well, like what I've been noticing, that, for example, when we were talking about the triangles with Kobe, Bruno, Casemiro, they always play those, like short passes. They're just next to each other, and there's no reason to play that pass, but they do. But that's what Michael Carrick used to do. He used to. I heard Drio on his podcast, I think yesterday. He was saying that Michael Carrick always used to use the word "lend it." Just lend the ball, and get it back, lend it, get it back. Even if you don't, if it doesn't create anything, but that's how you eventually create spaces. That's how you make the other teams run. So you need someone like Carrick. Like I said, maybe if Ruben had someone who knew about United with him at the staff, maybe it would have been different. But I think he's not the type of manager to, he's too proud, too stubborn to change anything of his like his opinions because of someone else, what they're saying. It would have created more issues, I think. So
I think the best thing that you could possibly say about Ruben Amorim is that he stuck to what he believed in, and that's it. That is rare in any walk of life. In society, people flip-flop all the time. He thought he knew what the best thing was for Manchester United. He's walked away with 9 to 10 million quid for his efforts. I'm not gonna lose any sleep over what he's doing in the future. But I think, looking back, and again, we'll just return to this question again, should United have fired him sooner? I think yes. I think they should have fired him at the end of the season, after the European final against Spurs. What about you?
I think it could have been after Spurs. I think it should have been after Grimsby. I think it 100% should have been after Everton, because that game was the final straw for me. That game was the final straw for me, because I mean, what are you doing? Like, it's like he wanted to get sacked. So yeah, I mean,
you never know. He might have wanted to get sacked at that point. You never know.
No.
Maybe the relationship at that point was so bad that he was like, right, okay, I want out of here. Let's see what I can do. But there we go. I feel like that's everything kind of off our chest with Ruben Amorim. I'm kind of bored about talking about it, and but whenever I think about after each game that all we ever talked about was the back three, or doing this, or doing that, or keeping this formation, or what's Ruben doing this. I'm just so glad that bit is over. Like I'm happy that bit's gone. I'm going to have to do it for him, aren't I? Cropper's transfer corner. Did I do it right? I don't know. I'll have to ask him next time he listens to it. It's pretty bare in Cropper's transfer corner. There's no real transfers to talk about. We're coming to the end of the transfer window, and it doesn't look like Manchester United are going to get anyone. There was this talk of a midfielder on loan, a secret midfielder. It was Ruben Loftus-Cheek, and then that changed, and then it was Wilfred Ndidi, and then that changed, and now it's just no one at all. So do you think there will be any surprises between now and the end of the transfer window, mate?
I mean, it's 3 days away, so I don't know. It's nothing. What I think of is if for example one of the midfielders gets injured, then what are our options? And we don't have many options. So I don't know. Maybe it would be beneficial to have an extra body in there because yeah, like again, like if for example Kobe gets injured, if Bruno gets injured, if because these things happen, who's gonna come in? And but they're none of the names that I've been hearing. Maybe Loftus. I like Loftus Cheek. I'm gonna be honest. I like him. I think his issue is injuries. I don't know how he's been for the past few seasons at Milan in terms of injuries, but he's a good player. He would add a little bit to the team, but other than that, nothing is interesting to me.
Yeah, I can't see anything happening between now and the transfer window closing. There was a little bit of news doing the rounds last night about being linked to, is it Ilman Ndiaye from Everton? He was linked last night that Manchester United have added him to a short list of players, which I'm not surprised by. And through sources, I know that scouts were at Everton versus Leeds the other night. So maybe there is some truth in that. But I guess scouts go to every game, don't they? They got to go and check out potential signings up and down the country. So I don't know. Could be one to look out for, though. I think a bullet dodged. I know that we're talking about people coming in, but bullet dodged on Tyler Dibley because he's gone to Everton. I think he's been injured, but apparently he's not having a good time, and Everton fans have already had enough of him. So it's not an ideal situation. So hopefully we haven't been watching him down at the Dicko Stadium. One thing I did want to ask though, outgoings. I still think we could see one or two outgoings before the window closes, and I think top of that tree could be Joshua Zirkzee. He didn't make the bench again, did he, on Sunday? And I think he's being deemed surplus to requirements. Could you see him leaving, possibly back to Serie A?
I mean, especially that we have one game a season, and these players they want to play so that they can have a chance of going to the World Cup. I think it's unfair on him to keep him because even Sesko is not starting. So how would Zirkzee start? And we just have one game a season. It's not like we have anything else to play for. We just have 15 more games. So yeah, like I think for him as well, I think we should sanction like a loan. And I don't know if he's been injured for the past few games. That's why he's not on the bench. But I can see something happening in the last few days.
I think whatever happens at the end of next season, and we'll obviously do a special on this when the season finishes, but there's certain players that just need to leave. not being harsh, but there's certain players that aren't Manchester United standard that can't be trusted to do the types of things that we've seen in the last two games. And we need to bring that level up to a consistent level by bringing in players around Bruno Fernandes, around Kobe Mainoo, around Lisandro Martinez and Patrick Dorgu. We need players that can do that. And currently, our squad doesn't quite have the depth for that. And then when we do have those players coming through, then we can start to introduce academy products into a safer environment where they can come on when they're beating a newly promoted side 4-0 and come on and get 10, 15 minutes and show what they can do. I think right now it's unfair on them because the expectation is that they've got to come in and do something for Manchester United when, clearly the squad's bare. So we need something to come in and fill it out. I think that's it for Cropper's Transfer Corner. I couldn't find anything else. I think it's going to be quiet between now and the 31st of January. One thing I did want to say though is the one thing that this does speak volumes on is that there doesn't seem to be a plan for Manchester United in terms of what type of targets they're going to get. Like with regards to the upper echelons of above the coach, above Amorim, above Carrick, whoever comes in next, having a list or having a contingency plan of what do we need for this squad. If the manager gets run over tomorrow and we have to replace him, at least we've got this player that is going to come into the team, and we know that they're going to be part of the squad moving forward. Doesn't seem like that's there. Maybe it's just me.
I think they do have targets, like main targets that they're gonna get regardless of who the manager is gonna be. But these targets are not attainable now in January. January is always a tough window. I think they were gonna get Semenyo if he agreed to come. I mean, I wish he came to. I think for Semenyo, I know at City he's gonna win probably more titles or whatever. But I think for him it would have been better to come at United. I don't know why. Like, I just have that feeling he would have been the star player at United. So I think he would have came in regardless of who the manager was.
Here's a little conspiracy theory for you. Here's a little conspiracy. I see if you agree with it. Do you think that Manchester United didn't pursue Antoine Semenyo as hard as they could do because they knew that they was going to be getting rid of Ruben?
No, because again, like I think they were gonna get Semenyo regardless of who the manager is, because he's a player that fits any manager's system. So I think he's one of those players, like for example Elliot Anderson, or Adam Morton, or Carlos Baleba. Those players that whoever the manager is, they're gonna be playing because they're that good. So I think and in the long term they do have some targets, but again, January is it's tough. I don't think there's a player that is gonna come in. City have been doing that for the past 2 seasons. I think getting Mark Gray is honestly it could be the deal that pushes them over the line. So yeah, I don't know. Like, we're not at that stage. I think we're not at that stage.
Next up for Manchester United, it is Fulham at Old Trafford, which is expected to be a very noisy and angsty affair off the pitch, especially, and around Old Trafford. The 1958 are planning a protest at the ownership of the Glazers and Ineos. They're not concerned about Michael Carrick and the players. It is more to do with the owners. I don't know if you read the newsletter that I put out last week, Ahmad, but seems Big Jim is in serious amount of debt, and he's looking at leverages on loans and things like that, which sounds very familiar to a US ownership group that is hated universally. So keep an eye on that one. But on the pitch, Michael Carrick will get another test against Fulham in a game which, immediately after beating Arsenal, everyone was saying this is going to be the bigger test. This is going to be the big one. Is that true, Ahmad?
I don't think it's a bigger test than going to the Emirates, because we always struggle at the Emirates. Last time we won there was 2017 in the league. But it is gonna be, I would say it's gonna give a better indication of where the team is at, of how what Carrick is about as well. Because it's, and about the players as well, because you can always be hyped up for the bigger games against City, against Arsenal, but when it comes to those routine, home games against, I would say, the lower, even though Fulham are doing really well this season, like they're doing really well. So that's when they have to show that they're actually serious about, challenging for top 4 and going on a run. And it's not going to be easy at all. It's not going to be easy at all. We're not going to have as much spaces as we've had against Arsenal and City. So it's going to be interesting to see how we're going to break them down.
It will be interesting to see, because Marco Silva was linked to the Manchester United job. He apparently was interviewed by Sir Jim Ratcliffe and potentially Omar Barada before Ruben Amorim got the job. So they obviously are interested in him, and they can see some good in his style. But teams have been used to rocking up to Old Trafford and going at Manchester United in this last 2 years, maybe. And they're coming just to try and bloody the nose of United, or to smash us up and to get 3 points. Do you think Silva will set up in a low block, or do you think he will try to get all 3 points? based on the fact that United can be shaky at Old Trafford.
No, I don't think it makes sense to play anything other than a low block against United. I don't think it makes sense for anyone. Because it's obvious that's where we struggle. And it's obvious that we're at our best when we have spaces to run out. So there's no pressure on him to come and get 3 points at Old Trafford. If he goes away with a point, he's going to be happy. And he's a pragmatic manager, Marco Silva. He's Portuguese. That's what they're all about. They're just being pragmatic, and they have good players. They have strong players. So they're going to be tough to beat. And I think last season we lost against them at Old Trafford. This season we struggled against them at Craven Cottage. So yeah, like
Last season we beat them.
at Old
We beat
Trafford
them
we
1-0.
lost.
No, we won 1-0.
No, we lost.
2024. Wait,
It was
where?
2025.
At home. 2025, we drew in the FA Cup. I'm looking at the head-to-head on FotMob. We drew in the FA Cup.
We lost
and then
2-1.
we won. Yeah, we won on the 16th of August, 2024.
Yeah,
Which must have been
2025.
there is no 2025 on here.
I don't know. It's weird because, I remember when it was towards the end of last season. It was towards the end of last season.
Was it the FA Cup when we lost on penalties?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
lost 4-3 on penalties.
Yeah, maybe.
It's
I don't
probably
know.
that one.
Did we beat them
Yeah.
at? Oh, we won at Old Trafford the first game of the season. You're right.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's the FA Cup, the one I'm thinking of. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, like we even away to Fulham last season. I don't remember if we won. I can't remember honestly.
This season we almost won.
Yeah, we
and
drew.
they scored in the last minute, didn't they, or the last few minutes? But it wasn't a classic game by any stretch of the imagination. But looking at Carrick and what he's got at his disposal at the moment, Cunha was obviously going to be the problem selection, or a happy problem to have, because obviously he started on the bench against City, started on the bench against Arsenal, comes off the bench and scores. That's a happy problem to have. Patrick Dorgu is now injured and possibly out for 10 weeks. Still not confirmed how long that time frame is going to be. Does it make it a straight swap? Do you just play Cunha there on that left side?
Yeah. Why not? Why wouldn't you? Even if Dorgu was fit, I think I would have started Cunha, because you don't need you need someone to be good in those tight spaces and just create something out of nothing. And I would want someone right-footed on the left to cut in and have Luke Shaw overlap. You don't need that against Arsenal, against City, but against those lower teams that would sit back, you would need that to create more options. So I would definitely start Cunha. I would want to start Sesko, but I don't know who drops out for him. Like I wouldn't drop Ahmad. I wouldn't drop Mbeumo. So yeah, I think it's in terms of and yeah, it's unfortunate that Dorgu is injured. But I think we have good options off the bench, or to replace him.
I think it's impossible to drop Cunha and start Sesko in this game. I don't think that's going to be a possibility, because he's come off, he's proved what he can do off the bench. He needs to be starting now. He didn't sign for Manchester United to be a bit part player. No player likes to be on the bench, regardless of what they say after their careers are finished. So yeah, I think it's probably going to be Cunha. I think that's probably the only change that I would make. I'd keep Mbeumo down the middle. He's been absolutely amazing. The only thing that you could say about Mbeumo down the middle, and you was just talking about this then, if they play in a low block, I think a battering ram is better than Mbeumo. So I think if anyone's going to lose their place in the squad, it could be him or Ahmad, and then Sesko goes up front. But for me, I would start the exact same team that started against Arsenal, and I'd just swap Cunha for Dorgu.
I wouldn't want. I mean, I wouldn't drop Ahmad as well. I wouldn't drop Mbeumo. I don't know. Maybe he has to find a way to fit all of them. Play 5 at the back again. But I think Sesko maybe Sesko up front playing against Joachim Anderson, playing against Calvin Bassey. I think he needs someone that like bigger than Mbeumo. But it's just interesting. I don't know how Fulham are dangerous, especially as well on the break. So we have to be careful from that. You know, they have Harry Wilson is on form. Iwobi. Jimenez is going to be a threat, honestly. Like, he's always a threat, Jimenez. I think he's one of the most underrated players in the league. So it's not going to be easy. And especially, I don't like those, 2 p.m. kickoffs at Old Trafford.
Yeah.
When especially if it's sunny. I hate them, honestly. So it's going to be tricky. But if we win, it's going to give me more confidence that, we could be onto something here. So let's see.
Yeah. What score do you think it'll be?
I'm going to go with 3-1.
3-1 to Fulham?
No. No way.
3-1 to Manchester United. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go 4-0. I'm gonna be optimistic this week. I'm gonna go 4-0 to Fulham. I'll go 4-0 to Manchester United. I think they'll get an early goal. Fulham will keep trying to break on us or trying to pressure us, and it'll just be the trap that we set each time, and we'll just be dipping it over the top and Mbeumo through, Ahmad through. I think it'll be a goal fest and a bit of a treat for the Old Trafford crowd. FPL pick?
Other than Bruno?
Yeah, he's a gimme, isn't he, Bruno?
Yeah.
So who do you think other than him?
I think Maguire is a good option, even though it's a 3-1. But I think we might keep a clean sheet, and I think Maguire can grab a goal from a set
From
piece.
set pieces, yeah. No, I don't disagree with that.
And DEFCON as well. I think Maguire gets a lot of DEFCON.
I think Cunha is probably going to be my pick this week. I think off the flank, there's more chance of danger from assists or a goal threat. I think if Mbeumo plays down the middle, I think he's going to have a bit of a tough day, unless we get that first goal, as I said, on the break. But yeah, I think Cunha, can't really argue with that. I'm going Bruno anyway, but I think Cunha could be a decent shout.
I think like I want to say, like, what's important in this game, because the team is going to go into this game, and the fans, everyone's going to be so charged up. Everyone's going to be so excited, especially after the result against Arsenal and after the protests and these things. But and Fulham are going to be flustered the first 10 minutes. It's so important that we grab a win, that we grab a goal in those first 10 minutes. Because after that, if we don't, and then it stretches, to minute 30, 40, and then, like halftime, we didn't score, everyone's going to start getting a little bit jittery. They're going to get flashbacks of what always happens of, we never score, we never seem to beat those teams. So I think it's important that we take our chances, because we're going to get a chance in those first 10 minutes. If you score, then we can relax a bit, but we have to score.
Yeah, I'm in full agreement. And we are at the end of the podcast there, mate. No more to talk about. No questions in the Gunners mailbag. They sit in Paul Cropper's house, so there's no way to access them. But if you do want to follow us on social media, you can, or sign up to the newsletter. You can find that at fergiesgunpodcast.com. The YouTube, we've been flying recently. We're getting a lot more views on there. We've just passed 500 marks, so thank you for everyone that is tuning in on YouTube. Oh, and I want to make a shout out to a new gummer, a new listener to Fergie's Gun podcast, my old mate James Boardman, who's now over in the US. We worked together, I think it was 25, 26 years ago. Hadn't spoke to him since, did not know what he was up to. And he got in touch to the Fergie's Gun podcast email saying that he stumbled across the podcast and he recognised the voice or the face that was there. So yeah, special shout out to James, or Jab as I knew him back then. Yeah, great to be in touch with him. But thanks very much, Ahmad. Good to have you back on. Let's hope we can have a three-pronged attack next week with Cropper back from illness, so that we can well, I'm not going to let him talk about Amorim. He had one chance and he's passed that up. But yeah, let's hope we're talking about a victory after the Fulham game.